That was the verse from Never Going Back Again by Fleetwood Mac, written by their guitarist at the time, Lindsey Buckingham, who I believe wrote it about his relationship with Stevie Nicks. And woo-wee, does he pack a lot of information in such like a simple package, along with using his like crazy powerful voice. He uses a 3/4 polymeter in order to give his very nice sounding chord a feeling of what I would call unsure footing. It helps to create a sense of floatiness before it comes crashing back down to just the normal 4/4 verse. So a polymeter is when you have two voices playing in time with each other, but there are different amounts of beats per bar that each are playing. This causes the parts to unsync from each other before meeting back up again after a certain amount of beats. For example, if you have a 3/4 polymeter, it would meet back up again in 12 beats. A 5/3 would meet back up in 15 beats. You basically just multiply them. So if you count to 4 repeatedly, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then count to 3 repeatedly, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you put them together to where they're playing in time with each other, and after a while you'll see the numbers will start to unalign. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So that's the quick and dirty explanation of polymeter. If you want a cleaner explanation, I'd recommend checking out Signal's Music Studio video on polymeter, because that guy has some good stuff, man. Now, what Lindsey Buckingham did with his concept is instead of playing out of sync with, say, drums or a bass guitar, he actually used the bass notes on his guitar and played them in a different time signature as the treble notes on the same guitar. He unsynced himself. I gotta give the disclaimer that he isn't the first to do this, but he is a great cultural touchstone in order to talk about this style of play, and in the process learn about this great song just generally. Speaking of which, I want to walk you through mastering the process of Lindsey Buckingham's version of polymeter in order so you too can become super cool, awesome guitarist. Note this is a finger-picking style song, so if you're not familiar with that style of playing, then it might take you longer to get used to these techniques, but you can still do it for sure. You just need to learn it the right way the first time, because practice makes permanent. Now go ahead and we'll start by finding a nice comfy shape to hold, because the shape Lindsey Buckingham holds is really difficult to practice with, because it is tiring as hell. So I just chose a nice comfy D shape and a drop D chord. That way I have all 6 strings, because we are going to need those later. Be careful. So we start by hitting the high E string, the B string, and the G string. And try to keep it to where your ring finger is on the high E, your middle is on the B, and then your index is on the G. It just makes things a lot easier in the future if you're able to keep your hand held in that one position. This is going to be our 3 pattern, so it's going to be counted as 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So go ahead and get comfortable with that, because that's going to be a pretty important bit. Now, if you're not familiar with using your thumb and the rest of your fingers to pluck strings at the same time, then I'd recommend doing this step, but if you're good on that, you can just skip it. In order to keep your fingers doing what you need them to do, I'd recommend hitting a bass note on every one of the 3 beats. So I'm going to hit the A string here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now switching over exclusively to just the bass notes, we're just going to have a normal 4/4 count, where we're going to have beats on the 1 and the 3. I'm gonna just pluck the A string here. 1. Just super simple, like you're just plucking that one note. Now here is the tricky bit. We're gonna combine the 4/4 bass pattern along with the high melody notes. And the way it's gonna sound is there's gonna be one bass note for every other high note. This is where the polymeter comes in. And I'll just take it slow. I'm going to start by not counting it at all. Then I'll count it in 3s and then count it in 4s. Because there are a couple different ways you can look at this. And just do whatever feels natural to you. Practice that bit. One, two, three, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now you can speed up and slow down the YouTube video if you need to get a different speed on that in order to keep it going. And there you got it. Now since that is the trickiest bit, I would recommend practicing that the most until your fingers become comfortable with the different iterations that can happen and you feel comfortable counting out each bit, both in 3s and 4s. Once you practice that and you got all that all good, this next bit is the part where the real texture starts coming through and you can just hold a chord and play it throughout and it just sounds beautiful. It doesn't really matter what it is as long as it's in key. So instead of hitting that bass note just straight, we're going to start alternating it between the A and the D strings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then once you combine it with the high notes, man, it just starts sounding crazy good. And that is actually what Buckingham uses in the verse of his songs. All you gotta do is speed it up. And then put it in the right chord. Which is this weird chord that you can find online, but if you want to try it, just bar the 2nd fret from the 4th string down, put your pinky all the way on the 5th fret 2nd string, and then your ring finger all the way on the 5th fret 4th string, and this is why it's hard to hold. Now if that isn't crazy enough, Lindsey Buckingham actually takes it one step further in the chorus. I'll just play it real quick so you get an idea of what this is all about. Did you catch that? He switched up the bass notes on us, that sneaky bugger. Going back to our original cushion chord, instead of just alternating between the A and the D strings, he does a E, D, A, D pattern. Now thankfully for new players, he only does the pattern once, meaning he just does the bass pattern once. However, I'd recommend going through all the iterations just to really get a feel for this, because it takes a long time to learn, but man is it fun once you get it down and then you just freaking speed it out. Oh, so good. Something to note is when you add more bass notes to this polyrhythm pattern, it becomes desynced for longer, and so it becomes much more difficult to actually do it right. I'd recommend that if you ever get stuck, go to the part where you get stuck, and then you keep playing it from that point. Say I'm doing this, and then I mess up. It's like, that's not right. I recognize that my fingers are in this position where the bass note is the E, and then the high note is the G string, and then I start from there. And then you just keep working your way through until you get it all back to where it syncs up. And once you can do that, congratulations! You're now a pro Lindsey Buckingham polymetric maestro powered by Monster Energy, starring Zach and Cody. Now this is as far as this video goes, but I do want to do another video exploring this concept to really find all the fun and interesting stuff that you can do using this technique. Because it's not limited to just like this one song, this one thing you can do, obviously. There's a lot of stuff you can do with it, and I'm excited to get into that. Thanks for watching. I did set up a Patreon in case some of you have tax returns to spare, but I don't want to take money away from anybody that would need it. So if you're a college student, I can't forgive your student loans, but I can forgive you for not giving me any money.